All right, so, hello. Let's see here. Start recording. All right, hello guys. So hello everyone, welcome to Pub Ed Drill. Before we start, any chiefs out there with anything they want to give updates to anybody? I'll give it a couple of minutes here if you guys want to chime in. Okay, we're good. So let's start off. So thanks for all attending. We're here to recap all the different divisions within the department and introduce some new and old members. Okay. Currently, Tony Scavo oversees all the Fire Corps members, and Ashley Krepsky, she oversees all of our educators. So with that being said, Tony or Ashley, do you guys have anything that you would like to contribute first?
Tony says he'll give a Fire Corps overview when you're ready to start talking about them.
Sounds good. I should probably turn up my own volume so I could hear you. All right. Let's see. Sounds good. All right. So with that, what we're going to do, we're going to be hearing from our members as to what they do for the department and the areas that they cover. So initially, of course, we had to move this all to Zoom, but our intent was to have all of our people from Fire Corps, educators, everything. We wanted to have them introduce themselves to everybody so everybody knows everybody and what we do, you know, and what they do. So we will have quite a few people speaking today. So I have one sitting right here, and we will start with her. So Kayla, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, I'm Kayla with Station 3. So I am the lead of the new special events committee. So it's me, Phil from Station 3, Rance from Station 2, Anna Rowan from Fire Corps, and Holly from Fire Corps as well. So we kind of get together once in a while. We're putting together different events that once were covered by the Wives Club. So we had our first event in December, the Cookies with Santa, which turned out really, really nice. So our next one, I believe, is the Easter event. So we're going to be getting together and talking about that soon. And there's about 8 different events that we'll be planning throughout the year. So that's about it. Any questions? Cool.
Great, thank you. Okay, so Kayla, we are going to Katie Swanson. Katie?
Hi, so Tony told me I should have a slideshow presentation ready. So that's what I did. So sorry if I'm an overachiever, but I'll go through things really quick. So I'm Katie Swanson. I go through, or I'm the chair of the Santa Parade. Are you guys able to see what I'm sharing right now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
Perfect. So here's Santa Parade, like I said. This is kind of the org chart that we had for this last year. We may be adding another box or 2 on the bottom as far as committees. I'm still working on compiling all the notes from everybody from this year, and then I will get back with Tony and we'll talk about some things, but we might have some additional opportunities going into next year. So this year, our float, all of the Rangers got makeovers. A big shout out to Gia and thank you for doing all of that. And then we're also going to be looking to see if it's possible to update the sleigh or replace the railings and the lights and just kind of update it a little bit. We've got a couple of design ideas out there. And as well, we have a couple of ways that we are looking at possibly getting that executed as well. As far as our routes and our signs, we did have some route changes this year. So we changed our Wednesday night in the lakes and the TPC. And that was a super positive change, lots of excitement. I feel like there was a lot of people at the beginning of the parade. It's really only the first time I've been in the parade like that. So I guess I don't have much to compare it to, but I was impressed with the people at the beginning. We also added the sign committee to this. So now we have members of Fire Corps who went out and put all the signs out every morning and then picked them up every night to take stuff off of the day staff. And yes, we do know that on the signs, it says .com and not .org. So we'll be working in that in the off season. But we also got some new structures for the viewing location signs. And then we also shortened the route in Mounds View. As far as viewing locations went, we had a new partner this year with Living Faith on Tuesday night. And we also added Madison Elementary on Monday night, which has a larger parking lot. And we're hoping that with the kids that go to that school, we can make more outreach and have this be a permanent change going in the future. And then a fun thing that we did is we did have Girl Scouts singing carols at one of the viewing locations. And that's something that we're hoping to maybe continue on with in the future. As far as some marketing things, just a little bit of background. For some people, you know that we start planning like in June. And the reason for that is because if we were going to make any changes that we need to get out to the public, we have to have all of that they have to have all of that into me by August 31st, because we have to get our marketing into the community newsletters and all of the community marketing pages in early September. And then Channel 9 did do a feel-good story about it being our 40th year. And then we also had brought in grand marshals to help draw attention and donations. As far as our staffing, we had 27 volunteers helping with the parade related activities from Fire Corps, education, and spouses. Now we filled about 86% of the volunteer spots that we had. And we had about 17 volunteer positions each night. So, you know, it's heavy on the firefighters and it's heavy on the non-firefighters. So thank you for everybody for their participation. And then here's just some yearly totals. So in the past, it's been anywhere from 26,000 pounds to 90,000 pounds, which was in 2020, which is clearly going to be an outlier. But even when you take that out and you look at, you know, the last few years, we've hit some 39,000 pounds. This year, we ended up collecting a total of over 45,000 pounds. So either way, we beat our record by, 6,500 pounds. In terms of this year, our temperatures range from 6 degrees on Monday night. So that was our chilliest night, to 35 degrees on Thursday night, which by then it felt great. And those grand marshals really lucked out. Wayne broke the tender on Monday night. So for anybody who wasn't there on Monday night, Wayne broke the tender. I know that Kayla drove it the rest of the week and she didn't seem to have any problems. So got to watch out for Wayne. I also know that many of the firefighters enjoyed having the women's hockey Gopher players there. I'm pretty sure the reason we ran out of candy canes is because they were all in the cars with the girls. I'm pretty sure every single guy stopped and offered candy canes, which was pretty funny from my perspective to watch. And then again, we collected a record number this year, and we had more than $1,000 in monetary donations as well. So that is it for my part. Like I said, we do start planning in June, and we would love to have more people help on the planning committees. Actually, we need more people to help on the planning committees. So if you're interested, when I send that email out, feel free to respond. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Katie. So next one on here is historian and archive, and I know Cheryl Zickman kind of has been taking a big lead in that, and I know she's out of town, so I don't know if Tony or Ashley, if you've got anything you want to fill in for that.
So Chief, can you hear me?
Yep.
So I'll just touch on it. There's only a couple of members for Fire Corps that are involved in that, and that's Cheryl Zickman and Holly Kotke. Both of them kind of spend a lot of their time upstairs in the archive room at Station 3, just organizing, categorizing, and they kind of work at their own pace. But it's kind of a monotonous job and a little boring, but it's an important one. So their key organizational skills make life a little bit easier if we have to go back and dig and find something from years past. So you guys, I'm sure most everybody knows Cheryl, seen her around. And then Holly, you've probably seen either up there or she does some admin work during the day, and she's also involved with the Santa Parade Committee. So
Yeah, it looks like Holly just popped on. Hi, Holly. Thanks for coming.
I also wanted to say that as archiving, we work with the Anoka County Historical Society, trying to get a lot of our stuff that we have into theirs, into their catalog, so that other people can access it as well. So we've been working with them as well. We started just before COVID, so it's been kind of on hold, but hopefully soon.
Excellent. Holly, how long have you been a member? How long have you been on?
Since 2008. So what is it?
Nice.
13, almost 14 years
Excellent.
in April.
Good. All right. Well, thank you. Photo and video. Ron, if you're there, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and what you're doing? No, Ron? Yeah, there you are. Let me unmute you. All right, well, we can come back to Ron.
Are you okay now, Jeff?
There you go. How you
Okay,
doing?
good. Okay. Okay. My name's Ron Henningsen. I'm the lead of the photo team. And the photo team's one of the original Fire Corps groups. And we're kind of a stealth group insofar as we work in a lot of different areas, but we're seldom seen. We work in the structure photo, event photos, which amounts to anything that's on Target Solutions, bike helmets, car seats. We do the training department photos out in the back behind 3. We do, of course, the ID photos that everybody loves. We do the annual report photos for like the board of directors and things like that. We also have a PC in the Fire Corps room where we're archiving all the photos, including some of the photos that are from upstairs in the archiving project up there. And we're trying to sort those out by event, person in there and everything else. Within the photo team, about 2/3 of the Fire Corps members are contributing members of the photo team. And everybody but one member, and that's me, belongs to other groups within Fire Corps. So the food service area, the 2 members of that, their primary duties within Fire Corps is to shoot events that they participate in as food service members. And also one of them works in the various areas like training events, goes and shoots that. We're really a customer service organization, and we've gotten to the level whereas at an event, if a chief, and it's usually a chief, will say, can you do this? And the answer is yes. And this year we were able to supply various chiefs with photos to send out to city council members and other organizations that they wanted almost live pictures of what was taking place at the time. One of the things was Chief 1 called or sent an email out one day and said, do you have? And within 10 minutes, he had it. And that's what we try to do, is provide that type of service to everybody. So if it's something that should have been photographed or was photographed and you need a picture of it within the organization, you can get it. Ashley, we furnish her with photos for the website and things like that. One of the things we're going to try and do next year or this year is become more involved with the stations. And a couple of the stations have individuals who communicate with me regularly, and they'll like the structure fire last Friday. Station captain might say, Ron, can I get a copy of the pictures of that fire? And we'll be glad to send them to them. And we have certain people like Jeff, yourself, we send you pictures automatically of the various events. And one of the rules for our photographers is when you're shooting an event, they better not know, or they better almost not know you were there. In other words, you're a fly on the wall, you're there to take pictures. And that's what we do. We stay out of the way. We check in with the instructor ahead of time and ask them if it's okay and things like that. But we do that. And like I say, 2/3 of the Fire Corps members contributed this past year. We really appreciate that. The presentation for the banquet that I developed had, I think, 9 different photographers who have given the photo team pictures for that. So station people, feel free to ask for the pictures, establish somebody who can communicate with me so we can get them to you. And, that's about it. And you want something photo team wise, just ask us and we'll try and provide it.
Great. Thanks a lot, Ron. All right, next, how about we do rehab and seam support? We got Beverly Norris for that. Beverly, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, I'm Beverly Norris. Let's see, let me turn my camera on. And I am actually one of the newer members on the rehab team. Angelique Sloan and Gia Nelson are the captains of the 2 teams on rehab. A lot of our other members like Mike Powers and Marie, and I know I don't have a list in front of me. This is kind of a surprise, so I'm sorry, I'm gonna forget some people, but yeah, so we respond when there's a structure fire. We fill air tanks with utility 16, bring utility 7 to the scene, like on this structure fire on Friday that was kind of used as a warming house where the inspectors could talk to the homeowners, make coffee, make cocoa, give people cooling towels, kind of just whatever the firefighters need at the scene to kind of make everybody safe and comfortable. And I find it really rewarding and I'm glad to be on it.
Great, thanks, Beverly. We're happy you're on it too.
Jeffrey,
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to touch a little bit deeper on the rehab team. So
Good.
just so everybody's kind of up to speed. So there's actually 12 members, the 12 Fire Corps members that are on the team. They carry pagers. They respond just like we do, just like the fire staff does. They come out, they're currently grabbing utility 7, coming out as a team and working not only to fill bottles and provide service to us, but the new customer service that we've added this year is the after the fire. So you might see some of our Fire Corps members walking around with the homeowners who's ever been displaced, and they're kind of going through this new book that has been created, kind of a step-by-step of what happens next for them and how we can help them get through that, phone numbers to call, who they should be talking to, information they should be getting right away, things they need to be thinking about down the line. Also, contact information for not only who's incident command, but who the fire investigator is, all of that type of stuff. They kind of act as the go-between between the fire department while we're on scene of what we're doing. And then, if command needs to reach out to them or the investigator reaches out to them, we kind of know where they're at. So they set them up with the after the fire book. They go through that front to back. They bring them a care kit that we've got set up. And then, most importantly, they kind of talk about, what we're doing on scene. A lot of times some of these people have never been through a fire, so they see us ripping off their siding or breaking their window or tearing down their soffit. They think we're ripping their house apart. They're there to explain to them that, we're not trying to dismantle their house, but look for hidden fire and make sure there's no issues later. So they've been given more responsibility. We keep working with them, and hopefully throughout this year, we keep doing radio training and rehab training and utility 16 training. And as we keep evolving, we hope to keep giving them more and more responsibilities. So at any time, you'll likely see anywhere from, you could see as few as 2 on a scene, upwards of 6 of them on a scene, you know, if it is a working fire. So.
Great, thanks, Chief. Next, we'll go to the culinary. So Diane, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, everybody. I'm Diane Sheffield. I've been part of Fire Corps for about 3 years now. And currently I'm kind of co-lead the culinary team along with Rob. Rob is out of town, so he asked me if I could do this for the group tonight. Our members are Anna, Emmanuel, and Josh. And we've also had some other Fire Corps team members help us out on some occasions if we're running a little slim. Usually the chiefs will reach out to Rob and ask if we can serve or cater a meal. And then Rob usually reaches out to me and we plan the menu, develop a shopping list, or reach out to the other team members to see what their availability is to help prep or serve or clean up. But Rob often makes the main course from his own recipes. We're trying to bring in home cooking as much as we can. And if I have the time, I will try and make a dessert from scratch as well. We'll get to the station usually kind of earlier in the afternoon, depending on if we're serving supper or we've even done a breakfast for the Rotary Club. So I know Rob got to the station, I think, the wee hours of the morning, and I think I joined him around 5 or 6 to serve breakfast at 7. So once we get everything set up and prepped, we figure out how we're going to serve it. Rob and I communicate a lot via text or email, and there's times that he's shopping on his own as he's got a little bit more free time than the rest of us. But so far we've catered the picnic, the breakfast, we've done suppers for the board, the officers, and we've helped or set up for other events. I know that we'll be working probably closely with Kayla's group, that special event group, a bunch with events. And we're enjoying ourselves and having a lot of fun doing this. And we really appreciate all the support that we've been receiving. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Diane. Move on to Katrina. He's first aid and CPR. Want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Katrina. I've been with the fire department for almost 10 years. I started the first few as a Fire Corps member, and then the last 8, almost 9 as an educator. Like many of the other educators, I've taught anything and everything that SBM has to offer. However, my focus over the last year has been the CPR and first aid program. So for those of you who don't know, SBM currently offers 3 AHA, which is the American Heart Association certified courses to the public. They are the Heart Saver CPR, the Heart Saver First Aid, and the BLS course. We have open classes almost every month, rotating between each. This year we are doing 2 per quarter, but it will still be rotating between each. Those are open completely to the public. They can sign on up and take them whenever they're offered. And then a lot of our teaching is also being done in the businesses in our service area. Since I stepped in last year, we have held over 27 classes and have taught over 142 students. So we've been quite active. So what do I do as for the program? I function as an instructor. I also am the training facility coordinator, which means I not only help teach the courses, but I also ensure that we're meeting our AHA requirements and standards, which includes class sizes with the number of instructors, making sure that we have the proper material, etc. So for example, last year we went through the science update. AHA goes through and updates all of their material to make sure that they have that they're meeting the best practices for what would be best for survival of the potential patients and things like that. So I had to go through, see what all of the updates were, make sure that we had all the correct materials to offer those courses, and to make sure that all of our instructors knew what all that new material was. Besides keeping track of all that material, I order new material when we start running out. So I'll be doing inventories of everything that we have to make sure that everything that we have is, again, meeting those standards and that we have enough for the next class that's going to be offered. So I am ordering lots of those cards. I issue all of the cards. And I also record all of the courses on the MRTC site, which the MRTC is the multi-regional training facility, which is the organization that we certify under. They work with AHA, and my cat's gonna come into the screen. Hi, honey. This is Patches. Anyway, so the MRTC is a sub-branch kind of AHA. AHA requires every instructor to work through a training facility, and that's the one that we certify through. So what this does, I lost track of my notes because the cat walked in. So by recording these courses on the MRTC site, it allows me to keep track of the courses that each instructor is taught to make sure that they're meeting their requirements to maintain that certification. The other thing that I do as the training site coordinator is to make sure that all of the instructors are certified. So I will be offering instructor certification courses later this year. Because our instructor certifications are up for renewal in July. So as a small plug for that, we are planning on having a total of 12 instructors. So either that'll be instructors that are recertifying or potentially some new instructors as well. So if you're interested, you can always reach out to Jeff, Ashley, or myself, and we can put you on that list of potential candidates for becoming an instructor. Again, I'm not sure where we are yet because we're not recertifying until the summer. As far as who's coming back as a instructor and how many new slots we'll have, but if that's something that you're interested in, please reach out. Yeah, and so that will be coming around in since they expire at the end of July, it'll be June, and then early July will be when those classes will be offered. So that's what I do in a nutshell. So. Cool.
Great, thanks, Katrina. So Callie Ann, canvassing.
Hi, I'm Callie Jacobson. I've been with the educators for a little over a year now, and I'm the program lead for canvassing. Recently took it over in about October. And since then, we've only done 2 events. We're gonna kind of put it on hold for the winter because it doesn't look right when we're wandering around neighborhoods in our dark colored uniforms at night. So we're gonna be picking it back up around March. I'd love to see some more people there. Got some pretty faithful folks that like to join me so far, but yeah, love to see more of you there. Basically, we pick a neighborhood and start knocking on doors, offer to check the smoke alarms and replace batteries and install smoke alarms if needed. And that's about it.
Great, Callie, thank you. Kelly Penoyer. Home surveys in schools and daycares.
Hello.
Hi, Kelly. Tell us about yourself.
So my name is Kelly and I am an educator. And I've been doing the schools as my program lead. And I think I've been there 3 years, 4 years. I was trying to figure that out. So I deal with the schools and it's usually K through 6. schools do usually reach out to us throughout the year, and we seem to be really busy April through June, that kind of the end of the school year, and also in October for Fire Prevention Week. I also try to reach out to schools because I feel like since I started doing this, we have a lot of schools in our communities that I haven't been to. So that's on my list. I keep trying to reach out to schools to let them know that we can come in and educate the students. So I'm going to keep pushing on that one. So when we go into the classroom, we talk about kitchen safety and cooking, bike safety, summer safety, swim safety, smoke alarms, safe escape, and carbon monoxide alarms as well. Another program that I'm working on that I'm hoping is kind of been on hold since COVID, but we've been working, it's called Sound Off, and it's in collaboration with the Minnesota State Fire Marshal Office, as well as other states are doing this as well. Their focus was second grade into going into the schools and getting them educated on smoke alarms and CO alarms. I've been into a couple schools, and I've been trying to start getting back in this now, hopefully, but now we might have to be on hold again for a little while. So that's another program that I'm working on. We also go to daycares. We get a lot of calls for daycares and preschools. We might be tweaking that, I think, a little bit, but usually the kids, they want us to bring the trucks and they want to see the gear. So those are kind of the demo things that we do. And Wayne has been a big help on that this year with me. We kind of co-do that together. I also do a lot of the home safety surveys, and we're trying to, get that out as much as we can. We try to do as many for the community. And if you aren't familiar with these, we come to your house, we go through the whole interior, looking for potential hazards, as well as the exterior of the home. And it's not a pass-fail test. We don't turn anybody in for violations. It's only for your own benefit. So strongly encourage you to get it done. And I believe you can take a credit. You can get a PR or a PE. So if you're interested, let us know. And also, if anybody is interested in helping going to schools or anything like that, just reach out to us. You're more than welcome to come with and help, because we can always use it. So that's pretty much what I'm doing on this end. So.
Great, thank you, Kelly. Next we have Anna on fire extinguishers and car seats. Hopefully.
Hi.
Yep, there you
Can you
are.
hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Perfect.
Introduce.
Hey everyone, I'm Anna. I've been an educator with SBM for 9 years now. One of the programs that I'm kind of overseeing or a lead of right now is Fire Extinguishers program. A little bit about that. Teaching it really kind of depends on who more so reaches out at this point. We sent out flyers, I believe, last year. We go into a few different businesses with teaching it. We've also taught it to explorers, to OEC. We've done it to like adult education programs. We've done it at open houses. And we just kind of, some businesses, we go out to them on the regular, like Burmo. They're pretty good at having us come out every single year. They send out their new employees and they just like to stay current up on it. But then there's some other places that we just sporadically go out there like, hey, it's been a while since we've done this, and we come out and give them the education. In teaching this, there's a couple different ways that we can go about it. We can do it in a more, what I consider a more formal sort of setting, which is where we start off with the classroom portion. We sit in there, it's about a 30-minute teaching. We talk about the different types of fire extinguishers, the different types of fires, proper use of a fire extinguisher, just really kind of the basics, get them really comfortable with it in that classroom sort of setting. If it is a different business that has the little extra time or the interest, while we're with them teaching there, we'd like to throw in the added, let's talk about smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms and having safe escape plans, just because this is now our standard adult audience that we don't necessarily reach those messages to in a different setting. So when in the businesses, if we can give that presentation, then we try to get that added in. Then after we do all this classroom portion, get the questions, get the basics, everything out of the way, then we go outside. We have a propane burn pan. We light that on fire, and then the company themselves, or the business, the school, whatever it is, they supply the fire extinguishers to their employees that are going to use them. And then they use that fire extinguisher to put out the fire. And then we just keep relighting that fire so everyone gets a chance at using the fire extinguisher. We do this really is to get that hands-on part for it. A lot of people just usually see a fire extinguisher up on the wall and they see how it is in movies and they've never really touched it. So we enjoy doing this to get people the hands-on so they know it's not a scary or intimidating thing to do with using that extinguisher. So that's a more formal setting. There has been other places that are like, hey, we want to come out, we want you to do this, but we don't want the classroom part. So we'll usually just meet them outside, and then it's more so 10 minutes that we spend with them, and that we just cover the super basics. This is an extinguisher. This is how you use it. The acronym PASS, for those of you that don't know. So P is for pull, A is for aiming at the base of the fire, squeezing that handle, and then sweeping back and forth. Teach them that acronym, how to use it, and then again, start that fire, let them get that hands-on just to get that good practice with it. So with that, we bring all the burn pan stuff, then they just use the extinguishers that they have. We bring a backup just in case, but majority of times we can get through all their people with the extinguishers that they supply. With this as well, with having our extinguishers, we have something that we offer through SBM is quarterly out of Station 3. We have the company All Safe. They come into our department, and I believe it's a $7 charge, something roughly like that. What it is homeowners, businesses, whatever they want, they can drop off their extinguishers at Station 3 and pay that fee, and then this company then comes out and they'll reservice or recharge that fire extinguisher, getting it good to go. So that would have to be a fire extinguisher that has a metal handle. Fire extinguishers that have plastic handles, those are just a one-time use. So if you're ever in doubt if it works or not, go use that on a campfire one day. Other than that, once it's used, then just empty it out and then put it into your trash. But those with the metal handle, those you can bring in and have reserviced. So I believe that's kind of everything for fire extinguishers. If you have questions, reach out anytime. Jeff is a great resource. Any educator is a great resource with it. Otherwise, you can reach out to me or anyone else. So. Moving on to car seats, otherwise known as child passenger safety restraints. So car seats, we do this to a wide spectrum of people. It's expecting parents, it's current parents, grandparents, foster parents, aunts, uncles, friends, anyone. If you haven't had a car seat inspected that you carry in your own vehicle, I recommend you bringing it into one of our car seat techs to have it checked out, because believe it or not, 4 out of 5 car seats are installed incorrectly. And I know majority of us are firefighters and we're like, I'm a firefighter, I can do it, right? Car seats are one of the most complicated things out there. Ask any tech that you know. Going to get the initial training is a 40-hour training. I thought it was a joke. I'm like, what can you learn on car seats for 40 hours? Walking out of that training, I'm like, I don't want to touch a single car seat ever, because I felt like I didn't know anything. So there is so much that goes into the ins and the outs of knowing car seats. Is it fit for that vehicle? Is it fit for that child? Is it secured properly? There is a thing as being too tight. I know we like to think if we just muscle it in there, the tighter it is, then it's secured. Sometimes too tight is not necessarily right. That sounded good. So just knowing that as well, that you do want some forgiveness in that car seat. And if you just muscle out and your car seat's super tight in there, that's not necessarily the best fit for it. Doing car seats, we can do car seat clinics. Those, we don't have a set schedule yet with SBM. That's something that'll be working towards getting a set schedule of having clinics. Other than that, we're kind of right now is just an appointment base where someone reaches out to our department and then we contact and we do a one-on-one with them. I tend to like these one-on-ones, except for me, they seem to go a little longer because this one-on-one is usually a parent that's more concerned. They have a lot more questions. At a clinic, it takes about half an hour to work with someone on their car seat. I feel like in a one-on-one setting, it's more to an hour. But again, that's just because they're coming in on their own time. They want to feel really comfortable walking out of there, and that's our goal. We don't install the car seat for them. We teach them how to do it. It doesn't do us any good if we just do it for them and we're like, see ya, right? And then if they ever have to change out their car seat or put a different kid into it, they're not going to know how. So we teach them so then they feel super comfortable with it. Just a couple things just to throw out there, just to spark your guys' interest. Because again, I know a lot of you are parents, a lot of you have touched car seats, and we think we know it all. But like I said, I thought I knew car seats until I went to this training, and I had previous car fit trainings with car seats with working at a daycare, and all those I had to be certified in that. But then I came a car seat tech, and it's completely different. Rear facing, we say it is the safest, keep your child rear facing as long as you can. We recommend a rough estimate is the age of 2, but don't go based off that age. You could have a 4-year-old that's rear facing, believe it or not. And just know that rear facing is going to be the best for them. The biggest thing is to always max out that car seat. Every child is different, every car seat is different. Every car is different. You have to go based off of your vehicle, your car seat, and your child. 3 different factors that you have to put into play when you're trying to get the best fit for that car seat. But regardless of that, always max out that car seat. Don't go based off of age. Age is just a number. Go based off of that height and that weight of your child works with that car seat. A big thing is we want to avoid that bulky clothing. I know, especially in wintertime, we want to bundle them up. It's cold outside, so we want them to be nice and warm when they're in the car. Children should not have bulky clothing. That even falls under like some hooded sweatshirts could be too much bulk that a child is wearing. When we strap them into their car seat, we want that harness to be nice and tight onto their body versus onto that clothing. So you can always put that blanket or that jacket over their straps after they're strapped into place, but you don't want it to be going underneath those straps. Okay. And believe it or not, car seats do expire. The unfortunate thing is they're not like smoke alarms. Smoke alarms expire once you take them out of the package. Once you take the smoke alarms out of the package, now it's exposed to the elements of the air. So then that starts their 10-year cycle. Unfortunately, car seats have a shelf life. As soon as they're made and they're put onto the shelf, that's when their expiration begins. It's a tough thing and it's a tricky thing, but it is possible that you could buy an expired car seat. Let's say you go to Target because that's where you found a good deal at. Target doesn't necessarily switch out, their car seats on their shelf. Target's just a name. I'm not saying just that place. Any sort of business does it. They don't necessarily pay attention to the expirations. They just look at it's a piece of material that they need to sell. So pay attention to expiration dates prior to making your purchase. Okay. A really big thing, 4 foot 9 inches. I know it seems really tall. That is kind of our minimum guideline for when a child is tall enough to be sitting without a booster seat. Again, they should be sitting in the back seat. We want to avoid putting in the front seat because of airbags. They should be in the back seat, but at least 4 feet 9 inches is that minimum guideline for when they can be without a booster. There's a whole excuse me, there's a whole factor of things that also go into play with it, but that's just a really basic guideline of what it can be. Car seats, super complicated, as I've said several times, because cars are always changing and car seats are always changing, right? Our kids are typically staying the same, growing the same, right? But there's always the updates, the manufacturers, all these different changes are going into place. So as car seat techs, we always have to stay current. Every 2 years we expire. We have to do continuing education. We have to do clinics. We have to do so many car seat fits in order to make sure that we're staying current in this job that we do. With that, to close it all out, like I said, just a few little facts I wanted to throw at you. Maybe I trick someone up and they're questioning if their car seat is right or not. Don't worry. You have Jeff Lundquist, Ashley Krepsey, Matthias Gosch, Bob Knowles, and myself, Anna Belter, that are all car seat techs on the department. Reach out to us at any time, and we would be more than happy to work with you and answer any questions if you have any. Okay. Thanks.
Great, Anna. A lot of information. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. We'll go to the CO data study and the CRA. So Madison.
Howdy, everybody.
Hey.
You see me, Jeff? You're good?
Yeah, you're good. Sound good.
I'm
Thank
like,
you. Yep.
I'm like shining down from the heavens.
Yeah, as always, man.
That's because I'm in station 3. It's just like that. Those that don't know me, my name's Madison Zickman. I've been on SBM since 2012. Left full-time January 4th of last year to take the chief's job in Fridley, but I'm still on as an educator, for those of you that don't know that. So still helping out Jeff and Ashley where I can, and going to share some of that fruits of those works tonight. So let's do this. So we'll start with CO data study. So those who've been around a couple years may remember back before Becky left, we were working with a firm out of the UK, and they came and did actually an international summit here at SBM, brought people from around the world, primarily from the United States, but did have international visitors for a CO summit. And we were working with Hennepin County Barometric Chamber to study the long-term effects of chronic carbon monoxide exposure, low levels. So your CO detector in your house only goes off when it's exposed to 35 parts per million for over 4 hours, or there's a bunch of other settings on there, but the bottom line is that it has to see carbon monoxide for an extended period of time. And there's very little research done on what happens if you have exposure to CO at 10 parts per million for your entire life, or inside your home, or where you work, or wherever the case might be. And there's very little research on that. And so we partnered with them through some grants to start this study, and then of course COVID hit. So we were still doing it in the interim, but kind of, only as we could, and there was a long time period there where we couldn't go into homes. So really started to ramp back up here in the last couple months, and I'll show you why it's important moving forward. So last year alone, there was 153 CO related calls at SBM. You can see on the screen there the numbers of what those came in as. But the bottom line is that 38 of them had recorded readings. So you can recall the ones that you were on, firefighters. You know that a lot of them end up being a faulty detector or out of its service life. But that's a lot that still had recorded readings. And most of them are not 3, 4, 5 parts per million. They're 20, 40, 100 plus parts per million. And there was a couple instances where people were transported to the hospital just last year, and we've had some of those in years prior too. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. This year already, we're 17 days in, 16 CO related calls, and 8 of them had recorded readings. So we're off to a bad start. Again, reminder, CO should not happen inside your house. If it is happening, there's something wrong. Whether that's an appliance not burning efficiently, or you're doing something that you shouldn't be with an appliance, with the car running, with space heater, whatever the case might be, that's causing CO, or in some cases, this might be an actual natural gas leak for those 3 calls right there. But just some reminders in reading reports. So I go through and catalog all of these calls and am looking at narratives and the 2800 data. So if you're writing a report on a CO call, please make sure to record your readings. That's important for a lot of reasons, but if you use the 4 gas, we got to record what it said, whether that's normal or 5 parts per million, 20 parts per million, whatever. And even better, where you found it, if it was a specific level of the home or if it was near an appliance. If you just go on one of the routine calls and it was a old detector, please note that, because we are also tracking that data. And again, your CO alarm only lasts 7 years. So as opposed to your smoke alarm that has a 10-year shelf life, a CO alarm, the electrochemical sensor inside only has a 7-year shelf life. If you come across a combo alarm, a smoke and a CO, don't let anyone try to tell you that that has a 10-year life. The smoke sensor inside does, but the CO only has a 7-year life. So even though that may be a sealed battery or the detector may be alarming at 7-8 years and you're thinking that it's an 8-year alarm, the CO sensor may be going bad on that, and that might be what's going on. And then if you're able to confirm the contact info, you all know where to find that on CAD, where the RP's phone number and their name is, but a lot of times we're getting these secondhand, or if it's a business, we're getting it straight from the business phone. And we're doing follow-up on all of them. So the more information that we can have, the better, especially in Mounds View, because we don't get the CAD information that comes across from Ramsey County Dispatch does not include a caller phone number or their name. And it requires more work than it's worth to go try to find that from Ramsey County. So if you're able to throw a person involved on the FDM report, or even just throw their name and phone number on the narrative, that is very much appreciated. So the CO study, in a nutshell, we follow this flow chart here, but for the most part, we're just doing follow-up from emergency calls. When this first started, we were going to do it as part of home safety surveys and the whole shebang. Really now it's just a follow-up from calls, and you can see that we've got plenty of those to follow up on. So when someone does have a CO incident and we prioritize the ones where there's actually CO in the home, we will follow up. I try to do that within a week now. And again, we're just kind of getting back into the swing of things the last couple months. Again, essentially ask, I heard that you had CO in your home. We have this program going on. We would like to come into your home and place a data logger, free of charge, completely confidential. We're doing it as part of a study. And in return, we can tell you if you have low levels of CO within the house, that something else is going on. So as part of that, we just fill out this quick assessment sheet, like a very, very quick home safety survey. But these are the things that we're doing. So the Toxcos, some of you may be familiar with, this is actually a air monitoring device that we can read CO with, but the way that we use it is as a breathalyzer. So you can see the gentleman here in that little picture. That's a breath tube, a one-time use. They blow into it just like a PBT test, and it immediately gives us carboxyhemoglobin readings, the parts per million of CO in their blood, or in this case, transpiring through their lungs. And this is actually more efficient and better acute reading than the RAD 57, and without having to carry the RAD 57 around. So we do this quick reading. It would tell us if they do have CO in their lungs. Typically that's a no, because we've already taken care of the CO issue. The bigger thing though is that we're leaving this data logger, and that's about the size of an EpiPen, but it's a single gas detector that is drawing in the air. It's passive and taking a reading every so often, however often we set it. Right now it's set to every 5 minutes. So we leave that device inside their home for 2 weeks, and then we go retrieve it, and it's just a little USB dongle on the inside. So we hook that into software after we're done with 2 weeks, and we get a nice graph of where their readings are every 5 minutes for that 2 weeks. And typically we see readings of 2, 3, 5 parts per million. We really don't worry about those. But on occasion, we'll see peaks in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they're just that. They're peaks for an hour or maybe 2 hours. And that's not enough for their CO detector to go off. And so that's really kind of the impetus for why we do this, because that still tells us there's something going on in that home, but there's no way for that homeowner to know about that unless they have a crazy CO alarm that they're not buying at their normal hardware store. So we collect all of that. Again, we use it for our study, but then we turn around and give that to the homeowner kind of as their carrot to tell them that, hey, you should probably get something serviced. Part of that review form is also trying to see what their habits are. So if there's always peaks when they turn their oven on or when their furnace kicks on, we see a lot of times if people leave for work at the same time or are opening a door at the same time in the morning, that if there is any CO, that will clear everything down to zero. So things like that, just trying to track that. Questions on CO study? All right, so this obviously kind of takes more precedence over the cold months. And like I said, we're already at 16 calls for this year, 17 days in. So as you're responding to these calls, or for those that are not firefighters, if you're talking to neighbors or your own home or family members, this is a free service. We have 10 data loggers. We like to have them all out as often as we can. So if you'd like your own home checked, reach out to me and we'd be happy to come do this, or a neighbor or a place of business. Really doesn't matter as long as it's within the fire district. The goal is to get as many addresses captured as we can. So even though we're doing follow-up from calls, that's just because that's the low-hanging fruit. We don't have to do this as a follow-up. It can just be someone that wants to have it done out of the kindness of their heart. So feel free to reach out. All right, the bigger thing I want to talk about today is community risk assessment. Those, again, that have been around a few years have heard me talk about this. So really quick, just an overview, community risk reduction. I'm not going to get in the weeds here. This is the whole planning model for community risk reduction. The reason I bring it up is because what I'm going to talk about is step 2 there, the assessment. And we really can't do all of the other things that all of our educators have talked about tonight until we have a good idea of an accurate assessment and using data. And we've had that. It's been done periodically over the years. And so that's what we're going out of. We're not just shooting in the dark, but we have to continually do that and look at that data, especially with how fast our district is growing and how much it's changing. So we use the 5 E's. Again, I'm not going to dwell on all of this. In fire prevention, we have all of those at our fingertips to try to affect change. And the bottom line is that we're trying to disrupt a causal chain analysis. So this is the flow of what would happen for a portable heater fire. And on the fire prevention side, and that's not just educators, that's inspectors and firefighters and fire corps and everybody, we have ways to break this chain at every single step. Sometimes there's multiple ways to do it. Sometimes we really only have one place to take advantage of that. So without the data, we're not able to really analyze where that's going to work best. So there's those events, and this is our intervention strategy. And we can't always stop something from happening. Actually, most of the times we can't stop something from happening. That would be a primary prevention intervention. A lot of times what we're doing is secondary. We're just, the event happened or it's always going to occur because humans are humans. We're just trying to reduce the severity, or in the last case, we try to reduce a negative impact. So this would be a tertiary would be, an example would be a smoke alarm. Okay, smoke alarms don't prevent fires. Fire is still going to happen. It didn't do anything to prevent the fire actually. What they do prevent is fire death or injury in notifying people to get out of their home. So the fire still happened, but we reduced the negative impact, hopefully because we didn't have someone trapped inside and sustain injury or death. Okay, enough of that. So down to the data. Some really easy ones quick. Population gone way up in the last 15 years. You all know that. The dotted lines are going to be trend lines on the next few graphs here. Total calls also way up. Forgive me if this is not perfectly accurate, but it should be within about 2-3%, just over 2,000 calls last year. And then the calls per capita. Again, numbers don't mean much. We need to push them towards percentages or do it per population, per capita. So that's what this graph shows more accurately. A population is going up, you would expect the calls to go up, but actually our calls are going up much more quickly than calls per capita. If they were progressing at the same rate, this would be a flat line. There's a lot of factors there. I'm not getting into the weeds tonight. So incidents by day of the week, and this just breaks it down into 5 really core categories. Fire calls, rescue meaning like PI or water, things that are not medical related. EMS would be the medical calls, fire alarms, and then everything else. So as expected, we really don't have a whole lot of peaks and valleys for days per week. We do, however, have some peaks for specific months, especially when you look at like fire, for instance. We go all the way from down here at only 23% of calls, of our fire calls in January, all the way up to 73 in May. But again, overall, a fairly flat trend line. That's what that big, thick black line is the trend line over the course of the year. And then a really interesting one would be your 5-year incidence by the time of day. So this is 5 years worth of data, not just last year or last month. This is a full spectrum of things to look at. This isn't a huge surprise, especially those leaders in the room. There's a reason why there's staffing during daytime hours, and the impetus there was that 5 a.m. cutoff. You see very few calls, and then all of a sudden we start to go up. We could staff till 8-9 p.m., that'd be great, but not realistic. So those are all call types. This is just the last 3 years, and these are every address that we've been to more than 10 times in 3 years, and it's sorted by the top quantity. Congratulations, Station 1. No surprise to you. Legends of Spring Lake Park, it's only been around 3 years, 68 times. And then these are the highest call types there. So 24 public assist, you guys can know better than me, but for the most part, I believe that's elevator entrapments. Could be some medicals too that just get coded that way. Legends of Blaine, 33. 9 lift assists, and then you see on the notes over here, all 9 of those were to the same unit. One person. Crestview Senior, 27. 10 of them were lift assist. This is a single family home that we were at 21 times, and 19 of those were for a lift assist. Plus a medical, guessing the same person. Osborne Apartments. I'm not going to go down this whole list, but as you look through it, you see some commonalities. For the most part, the low acuity, high volume calls are lift assists and fire alarms. We already know that. They're happening at apartment buildings, senior living facilities. Again, not a huge surprise there. And then we see some of our big box stores on here. Not really anything specific to that business or anything they're doing wrong. Just the fact that there's a lot of traffic there and a lot of people, so you'd expect a lot of calls. In some cases, like fire alarms at Menards, we know some weaknesses with their dry and wet system. Lowe's has a similar thing going on there. And if we were to go through the list of single family, you'd find a lot more that were maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 times all for the same person on a lift assist or another medical issue that they have going on. And you all know that. The reason I bring this up is because it all ties back into community risk reduction. And Legends of Spring Lake Park, okay, we've been there 68 times. It was probably 68 different people calling us. There's not a whole lot that we are able to do there. I know that there was a time effort with elevator company and management there to get issues fixed. Legends of Blaine, that individual no longer lives there. But these are things that we take initiative on after we reach a threshold to try to reduce that call volume and overall build a more vulnerable or a more resilient population. Next one's traffic accidents. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is a really tough one for us to affect any amount of change on. But it's a massive call volume for SBM. So the map on the left is called an ADT. That's your average daily traffic. These are, when you see those strips across the road that are there for a couple weeks, that's the county or the state collecting data on average daily traffic counts. So the number here is how many people pass that line. Obviously, when you go through an intersection, you're going to go through two different roads. No matter whether you go straight, you take a right, you take a left, you're going to hit two of those dots. So we add up all the dots and we divide them by 2, and that's how many average cars pass through that intersection on a daily rate. The picture on the right is a really simplified version of the amount of traffic accidents. This was done by the City of Blaine Police, so it's just for Blaine and nearby accident intersections that they would respond to. Red being obviously the highest, and then orange, yellow, blue, and green. Here is our specifics at SBM. This one on the left is by quantity, so just the number of car accidents per intersection. This is over 5 years. It's not, I think this is 16 to 2020. It doesn't include anything from last year. So there's your number of car accidents, highest to lowest. Station 2, you know all about that. And then on the right is the rank if we're going to take that per car. So if you want to say that it's like the most dangerous intersection, then we do a little bit of math and we take the number of accidents divided by that average daily count and how many cars per 100,000 going through that intersection would get in an accident. So careful if you live up by Westminster, 20 out of every 100,000 cars is reporting a car accident that we respond to. So that's not even property damage. That's SBM getting called. So those are serious car accidents. Not a whole lot of surprises on there. Lots on 125th and a lot on Highway 65. These are tough to nail down because the intersection is not always accurate. You're well aware of that. And it doesn't give us a perfect address every time. So you all know that you can be called to Highway 65 and Highway 10 is a perfect example. That can be on 8 different on-off ramps. It can be on Highway 10 over 65. It could be on 65 under Highway 10, or it could be a half mile in either direction, north, south, east, west. So it's not really fair to classify that all happening on the intersection. This data set lets us dig a little deeper than that, but it's still an imperfect system. All the more reason that entering data into FTM is uber important. The more information you can put in there and the more accurate you can make that report, it does get used. So now let's get into the meat of things. So structure fires, I'm going to show you a few slides. The graph or the maps on the left are just single incidents. Every dot is an incident. This is over a 10-year span. This is a 5-year span. The map on the right is putting those into what's called block groups. Block groups are the smallest geographical area for a US census. So your census tract has somewhere between 2 and 5 block groups, depending on the population. And we're able to then get demographic data down to the block group. So we take these, we put them into the block group, and then we use standard deviation, which is a pretty straightforward data analysis equation, and determine whether there's relevant difference between the block groups or not. Because every single one has a different population, different number of households, and all sorts of different demographic information. So the computer software does that for us. We enter it in there, but rather than just say, well, this block group has more fires than this block group, well, that's not great because this one also has more people. So you would expect more fires. So the software evaluates all that for us, and then it will only color code when there's significant difference. So when you see these dark blues on the next few screens, that is significantly different than the next color blue and the next kind of green, and then down to that yellowish, if you want to call it that. Now, you're going to see the airport show up really bad on almost all these. That's because there's almost no houses in that block group. And so that's something that we have to kind of throw out of the data set. But aside from that block group, everything else is fairly accurate because there's, in some regard, equal representation, and the computer system knows where to sort things out with population differences and all those sort of things. So You can ignore the big one in the middle, but everything else is pretty accurate. You're going to see some trends. So here's structure fires. Next one's cooking fires. So the last one didn't even include structure fires. These are ones coded 111 in FDM. Those are the two reports. Cooking fires are coded 113. We're going to come back to this in a little bit. Carbon monoxide incidents. Natural gas, gas odor, gas leak, whichever one's gas odor inside, gas odor outside, those call types. So those are the big ones. We have maps on many more incidents, but I'm not going to bore you with that. So why does any of this matter? So we look at all these maps, and if we overlay them, we can see certain block groups that are high in every category or low in every category. Or we try to group things together that they're high on fire incidents, but they're low on medical incidents. And as we dig deeper, this is a spreadsheet that goes somewhere between like 4,000 and 5,000 different columns. But these are all the different block groups on the left-hand side here. And then all these different columns of demographic information. And again, we use that standard deviation. That's what the color difference is here. And it tells us where there's a significant difference in these demographics and where we can find trends. So in many cases, we could say that this demographic factor, we'll use an easy one, an unemployment rate. Where the unemployment rate is high, we see more emergency calls. And then we figure out, well, there's a couple block groups where the unemployment rate is really high, but we don't see emergency calls. Why is that? And maybe there's an answer for that, or maybe we're getting lucky. And even though we're not getting calls there right now, we still need to focus certain prevention efforts, because in general, we notice that these other areas of population with high unemployment rates, we do see high call volumes. And here's how we address it with this fire prevention tactic. So an example of that, going back to cooking fires. Here are the 7 worst block groups for cooking fires. And then diving into that data, I just picked out however many there is here, maybe 10 of those demographics where there is a significant difference in those 7 combined, their average, to our fire district or to Anoka County or to Minnesota. And in many cases, all 3 of them. So where we see higher population density, that's the amount of people per square mile, we see more cooking fires. Where we see a higher percentage of population over 65, where we see a higher percent of diverse and ethnic populations, significantly higher than the county or the state, where we see lower educational attainment. This is a poverty standard, higher poverty, again, lower employment rate, households that are already on government assistance, renter occupied housing percentage, households with 3 or more attached. That means essentially a 4-plex or a 3-plex or greater. So 41% of the total housing units on average in those 7 block groups are apartment, for lack of a better word, a 4-plex, an 8-plex, an apartment building. Now remember, an apartment building might have 300 units. They all count as one, but that is massively high. Consider Anoka County only at 14% or the entire state of Minnesota at 15%. A lot of these are related. Population density, these households, the rent-to rate, and then total households per square mile. Again, that kind of is related to population density, but more so the number of rooftops or households as opposed to just the number of people. And you can see where all of those factors are higher. And that allows us to focus in on our audience, know what our audience is, and then use this equation backwards, like I said, so that even when we don't see, when we see all of these demographic factors happen in a block group where there isn't high call volumes, what's going on there? Is there already programs that are going on that make it lower risk? Is there certain engineering factors? Is there better staff at senior living or apartment complexes? Is there a lower crime rate? Whatever the case might be, We use these kind of back and forth to figure out exactly what's going on, and so we can target our programming more effectively, because now upwards of 90,000 people, it's impossible for us to deliver all the messaging that we need to for that size of a population. So lets us be lean and efficient. That's what I got. Any questions?
Excellent, Madison. Thank you. John Hedger, chaplains. John, you want to introduce yourself?
I do, thanks. I'm John Hedger. I'm the newest volunteer chaplain with the service. I just got started with the department last July, and so it's an honor to be here. For the chaplains, we have 5 volunteer chaplains that are with SBM Fire. We're always looking to expand with a few more, so if anybody knows somebody who would be interested in becoming a volunteer chaplain, we're certainly open to that. They can contact Tony Scavo. Of the 5 of us that are volunteer chaplains, 3 are church-based full-time pastors. 2 of us have jobs outside of the church. One works security at TSA, and for me, I'm an educator in 2 different places, part-time at Bethlehem College and Seminary in downtown Minneapolis, and also with Hennepin Healthcare in their critical care EMS education department. All of us have the endorsement of our respective churches and either serve as a pastor or a deacon in our church. The way that staffing works is we have a dedicated chaplain phone that we hand off to our relief, and we're on call 24/7 for an entire week at a time. And so when we get done with that 1-week rotation, we'll meet up with the next relieving chaplain and hand off the phone there in that way. Most of our calls, I don't have any statistics on this at this time, but most of our calls are to community support type of calls that are initiated by yourselves or law enforcement. Most often the officer that's on the scene of a death, that could be a unresuscitated cardiac arrest, or somebody was discovered deceased, or maybe somebody who was expected to pass, maybe of a terminal cancer type of a diagnosis or something like that. So the police officer will initiate the call to Anoka County, and they'll call us directly on that chaplain phone, say that there's a chaplain request, give us the address, and then we contact the officer directly. Usually we like to respond right away. So we want to minimize our wait time for the officers that are at scene, and most importantly for the family or friends that are at the scene at that point. We also have some information that we'll hand off to the family or the bystanders. We have a nice brochure here called "What Do I Do Now?" These just came out, I think, Tony, last year. There's some good information on here where we can help family or friends, relevant bystanders to start putting some things in motion after we can help them grieve a bit and see what kind of support that they need. Sometimes people are well and fine with the chaplain being there, and they just want maybe a prayer or some sort of a blessing. Sometimes no help whatsoever, which is fine, all the way to some very intensive conversations and some assistance being there for a longer period of time, and everything in between. We will respond to any call, regardless of the person's faith community or their faith tradition, whether it's very dedicated or even none at all. We're on call to help and meet people's needs in their time of need. But we also don't want to be known for just being only available in crisis moments. I had a great time at the Santa Parade, helping collect some food and all 4 nights, and just had a great time doing that, being involved with all of you for that community support, that community event. Made it to a few open houses over the last, I guess it was one or two this past fall. So we want to be available for that as well. Other events, celebrations, barbecues, we're all for that as well. So we're not just there for crisis only or doom and gloom or anything. We're human people too, and stuff. And we just we like to have fun too. So you want to go out, grab a beer or beverage, or have birthday cake, or eat some barbecue or whatever, I'm all for it. So don't hesitate to call. On the side of some of the brochures, we also have some other resources. For instance, if there's somebody who's lost a child, we have some bereavement steps that they can go through to begin the healing process with their grieving. And we will help make some phone calls and provide whatever support we can for the people that are at the scene. That being said, we're also available for all of you as well, and it doesn't have to be a religious conversation or anything. I do have, I for one have a number of years of experience in EMS, and you're always welcome to bend my ear anytime. Have fun, have a great conversation. But if there's something that you're dealing with, or you just want to talk, or just get to know each other, that'd be cool too. Feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help in whatever way we can. Thanks. That's what I have.
Great, John. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Let's see. Excuse me. How about we go to Lou with investigations? Lou, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Lou Vandenberg. I'm one of the investigators. I'm investigator 7 on the fire department. I'm not just on SBM fire, and also on Hand Lake Fire Department. I've been there for 24 years. I'm an investigator there. And plus, I'm also involved with the Anoka County Fire Investigation Team. So if you don't see me on some of the fires here in Blaine, you might either see me up in Hand Lake or maybe down in Fridley someplace. Some of the stuff we do here on the fire investigation, as a fire investigator, we'll get called out to the fire scenes and try to determine the cause of what started the fire. We might start out by doing interviews, taking photos. We might also sketch the scene. Sometimes we have to dig a scene just to help determine what caused the fire. And every once in a while, if it's an arson case, we'll have to collect evidence. And then some of the stuff we do after the investigation, we'll come back and write up our report on what we found. And we have to do a photo log. And sometimes we have to follow up with insurance companies. That's pretty much what I have for investigations. If there's any questions, go ahead and ask me.
Great, Lou. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Let's see our last one for tonight. Zach Paul on Explorers.
Yes, sir. How is everyone doing? We're here at Station 2. Good. Everyone's having a great time. Talking about Explorers. Explorers is a great program. We have 6 Explorers now, right, Tony? Yep. I think we're up to 6. They're having a great time. I don't know, man. It's a really good program. It was my first year doing it. If you are at all interested in helping out and teaching the Explorers different events and stuff like that, feel free to reach out to myself or Scavo, but follow our Facebook page. We post there, try to post there weekly about different stuff we do. Something that we're trying to implement more this year is doing more real life stuff instead of, Explorer, trying to dumb it down for the kids. We're trying to do more firefighter related items. So we just wrapped up week 2 of search and rescue. So this week we turned out the lights and had them do some search and rescue in the dark, implementing some radio chat, implementing some victim rescue and recovery. So a lot of different stuff we're working on with the Explorers. So if you're ever interested in helping out, feel free to reach out. And yeah, that's all I got. Woohoo.
Great, thanks, Zach. All right, so with that being said, I'd reach out to Tony or Ashley. You guys want to throw anything out there?
Scabo's coming.
All right, sounds good.
So I just wanted to kind of recap on some of the stuff you heard. Obviously, you heard from lots of different Fire Corps members. You heard from some of our chaplains, some of our investigators, lots of different things that they're all kind of doing. A lot of the educational stuff that's going on with those fine folks. So well-rounded outside of what all the fire staff is doing. So you can see that we're heavily engaged in lots of different things and not just one specific thing. So really just wanted to kind of try to put a face to the name. I know it's a little bit challenging to do that via Zoom, but again, just kind of a recap. We currently, have 22 active Fire Corps members. We've got 7 investigators. Some are outside, some are still within the team, like Chief Diaz and David O'Keefe, myself, Anton. So there's quite a dynamic group. Like John Hedger said, one of our newest chaplains, we've got 5 of them. So you'll kind of see some of these guys all around, not just at fire scenes. So say hi. We all kind of are one big family here and doing lots of different stuff to aid in the community and be as well-rounded as we can. So.
Great, thanks, Tony. Ashley, you got anything? All right, and if not, how about any chiefs before we sign off? Nope, just want to say thanks to all of our speakers then. Appreciate it for taking the time, coming here and doing that. And we look forward to doing this again. Dan, did I see you pop up there, Anderson?
Yeah, nice work, Jeff. Thanks. It's good to see some of your teammates and kind of put a name to a face.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's what our goal was here. We thought we'd, instead of talking about smoke alarms and CO detectors in front of everybody, actually get some faces out there so we can, we got a lot of new people on our world and in the firefighter world. So we thought it'd be nice to introduce everybody. So, all right. That's all I got, guys. Thank you.